only good, but perfectible. And you can see how the unholy Trinity has both things covered. I mean, first off, in the immortality of the soul, they'll say that the body is nothing. And so you can do anything you want with the body. You can be a libertine, you can be a stoic, you can be anything you want with the body, because it's the spirit that is important. And then, when they come around and deny the original sin, well then, now all of a sudden the body and what you do with it becomes important, because we are good and perfectible. And so they cover both sides. They not only bifurcate the human being into flesh and spirit, but then they develop different strategies for dealing with both of them. And they continue to split the human being apart. This then drives into the unholy Trinity's use of anger and bargaining. And so now we have the unholy Trinity directing our anger, that violated sense of justice that we have, because after all, we are good. We deserve better than what we are getting. We deserve more. And our rights are being violated. I have a right to this. How can you take that away from me? And so that sense of justice and its violation drives the anger. And then the anger begins to drive the bargaining. And so we take this goodness that we have and we begin to bargain it toward perfectibility. And here again we end up with this concept that Paulson introduced us to a couple years ago, where we end up with deferment. This idea that in bargaining we can delay the loss, delay the death somehow or another. And so it is a matter of deferment. And Paulson got this from philosopher, North African philosopher named Derrida. And he was an Algerian Jew. Spent most of his life in prison. And his philosophy was simply that the human project is to defer. In other words, our natural state is procrastination. And Dale can attest that is indeed my natural state.
Augustine's prayer.
What's this?
Lord, give me chastity, but not yet.
Not yet. There you go.
Watch that man.
That's deferment, right?
That's deferment. And then Paulson uses this theologically so that this deferment creates a little bit of space. See? A little bit of space. And then into this space, we insert our bargaining. And we bargain that if we can just get our right thinking, our right doing, and our right feeling, if we can get our doing, thinking, and feelings aligned, then we will be brought from good to perfection. And there we are. I mean, we've overcome death because now we're perfect. And we just make this transition. It's I like to think it's almost like we kid ourselves into thinking we'll be like Enoch. And death won't really be death. It'll just be a walk up there with God, Well, I said that bargaining and anger went hand in hand as the true cost of the loss and its accompanying consolation was revealed. And so indeed they do go hand in hand, because the true cost of the loss, its immensity, is the death of all our personal immortality projects. And the cost of consolation, then, is that we die to them. Well, so what do we have then? Depression sets in. Because we can't pay the cost. We can't pay the cost. We are depressed, or as Luther would say, save us from the great and shameful sins of unbelief and despair. See? Despair and depression. They are, psychically the same, I would say. And here the unholy Trinity again works to short circuit the normal grieving process, so that as the person who is in depression or in despair, as they are saying of themselves, I am incompetent, incapable, unworthy, and a waste, weak. Here comes the unholy Trinity, and what do they say? As this person in despair is trying to sever finally, trying to lose all the attachments that are keeping them from the death of the old being. Here comes the unholy Trinity, and what do they do? What does the devil, the world, and our sinful selves do? But they begin to remind us of all our attachments, and they begin to inject us with all of the motivational talk. So we become empowered again. And in fact, I just read a little essay that said American spirituality is not seeking a God who commands, but instead seeking a God who empowers. So we're not looking for a God that commands us, die, sinner, but a God that can empower us, and even to the point of lifting ourselves out of despair and depression and reattaching all of those pieces to us. So we must undergo the whole process all over again. So, if the unholy Trinity then wrongly consoles us in this matter, then what would true consolation look like in these stages? And so we begin then with denial. And if true consolation is to come in denial, what does the Holy Trinity offer to us? Patience. Patience. And then, as we sit together, perhaps even in silence, this is not the ministry of presence in that you just come and sit alongside someone, as Dennis was teaching us yesterday, but that you come and sit. It may begin as a being alongside, but it cannot stay that way, because we are enduring then the affliction together. And in the enduring together this affliction, the being alongside is transformed into being with. And in that being with, then, the silence is broken by that still small voice, by that tiny word that begins just a drop, just a hint, so that the person in grief, now the two people in grief, but the one who has nothing, now begins to receive something